Some video game sequels hog all the hype. For instance, you'd be hard-pressed to find many gamers who don't know The Last of Us Part 2 is on its way.
I'm gonna find... and I'm gonna kill... every last one of them.
Or that we're getting Kingdom Hearts 3. Well, eventually. But some sequels fly a little more under the radar and deserve more recognition than they're getting. Here are some upcoming sequels to games you might have thought had already finished telling their story. Psychonauts read fans' minds. In 2005, Double Fine Productions gave us Psychonauts, the story of a psychic named Raz who can enter people's minds and destroy whatever evil's causing trouble in there.
My name
Starts with a D.
is Rasputin.
At the time, the game flopped, selling under 100,000 copies by the end of 2005. In the years since, it's gained a cult following and sold over 1.7 million copies. It's about time we get a sequel then. In 2015, Double Fine announced a FIG campaign to fund Psychonauts 2. Once the campaign closed in January 2016, Double Fine had raised $3.86 million, and development got the green light. Unfortunately, they've since run into several red lights, bumping their original release date of somewhere in 2018 to somewhere in 2019. As project lead Zach McClendon explained in a video update,
but the good news is, we want to give it the time to make it something that we love and that the fans love, and that sort of continues the legacy of Psychonauts 1 in a real meaningful and special way.
Double Fine clearly doesn't want Psychonauts 2 to become another crowd-funded glitch fest a la Mighty No. 9, and neither do the game's loyal fans. Wasteland 3 wants you to chill. The post-apocalyptic Wasteland series began in 1988, but it didn't see a true sequel until 2014. Wasteland 2 proved highly successful. According to In Exile head Brian Fargo, it earned the studio $12 million. Now the story's set to continue with Wasteland 3, which snagged over $3 million from die-hard fans who contributed to the game's FIG campaign. Based on the only gameplay trailer we've seen, it looks like fans will be in for a treat. Abandoning the desert for the snowy tundras of Colorado, Wasteland 3 sees the last surviving desert ranger and their party facing all sorts of monsters, not to mention less than peachy humans who might as well be mutated beasts.
Oh, just a taste. A nibble here and there. In fact, I'm still hungry.
Unlike previous entries in the series, the third installment will feature a multiplayer mode. But given that every choice you make in Wasteland influences the game's overall world, making a decision without your co-players' input could mean royally screwing up their campaign. In 2019, you'll get to decide for yourself if that's a risk you're willing to take. Bayonetta will put a spell on you. While the original Bayonetta sold like hotcakes, its sequel was released exclusively for the ill-fated Wii U. As a result, despite positive critical reception, the game made far less of an impact at retail. Even hardcore fans would be forgiven for thinking the series was dead.
We've got one more thing.
And yet, during the 2017 Game Awards, Nintendo of America boss Reggie Fils-Aimé announced Bayonetta 3 with a short teaser. Interestingly, like its predecessor, Bayonetta 3 will be an exclusive to Nintendo. Specifically, it's being developed for the Switch. Only time will tell if console exclusivity will create yet another hairy situation for the franchise's sales. Nintendo also announced the two previous Bayonetta games are being ported to the Switch, which could help the franchise twofold. For one thing, longtime fans will get everything they love on one convenient console, while new fans will get a chance to immerse themselves in the quirky series. It's about time that everyone's favorite sassy Umbra witch becomes the icon she deserves to be.
As long as there's music, I'll keep on dancing.
Guacamelee gets a rematch. Most Metroidvania games are dark and brooding, just like their two namesakes. Guacamelee was a welcome exception to the rule, a bright and colorful adventure based on Mexican culture and folklore. You play as a regular farmer killed by evil forces who becomes a super-powered lucha libre wrestler in the afterlife. Okay, so maybe it's not entirely free of some of the genre's tropes. In October 2017, Sony announced Guacamelee 2 for the PlayStation 4. Based on its trailer, the sequel looks like it'll expand on the action-packed gameplay that made Guacamelee so much fun. Plus, it appears as though developer Drinkbox Studios created a 4-player mode this time around, which makes sense since Mexican wrestling without tag teams is like a summer day without sunshine. Sadly, there's no release date yet other than coming soonish. On the bright side, that does give gamers plenty of time to save up enough pesos for this must-play platformer. Beyond Good and Evil 2 is beyond late. When the original Beyond Good and Evil hit shelves in 2003, it wasn't exactly a commercial success. Maybe that's why it took Ubisoft a soul-crushing 14 years to finally release a trailer for its upcoming sequel. But a fair warning to fans hoping to leap back into the shoes of protagonist Jade. This isn't exactly what you were expecting. Beyond Good and Evil 2 was originally announced in 2008, and Ubisoft clearly saw no need to rush. They also saw no need to make a traditional sequel. Instead, they opted to develop a prequel that they'd hoped anyone can play regardless of their knowledge of the original game. Well, judging from Beyond Good and Evil 2's cinematic trailer, which resembles something between an expletive-laden crime thriller and an open-world RPG, this sequel is a dramatic shift in tone from its predecessor. In fact, it almost looks like an entirely new IP altogether. Considering director Michel Ancel's claim that the game is in day zero of development, it's probably going to be a while before Beyond Good and Evil 2 graces our consoles. But we've been patient this long, what's another year or two? Life is still hella strange. An original story about a teenage time traveler named Max and her doomed BFF Chloe, Life is Strange was an unexpected hit when its first episode dropped in January 2015. The gamble paid off, as the game's 5 episodes sold a combined 3 million copies, so it would have been strange indeed if nobody made a sequel. Well, it turns out developer Don't Nod Entertainment is doing just that with a currently unnamed sequel to Life is Strange, announced in May 2017.
What we can share today is the fact that we've been working since the release of the box version last year on a new Life is Strange game with the Life is Strange team, and we cannot wait to share more about this with you.
We don't know a lot about the game yet, but it'll most likely star an entirely new cast of characters. In an interview with IB Times, its director said that a second season would work, but the story of Max and Chloe is told. Their character arcs are closed. Max reached the end of her coming-of-age story, now she's grown up. That interview was published in December 2015, so the team might have changed their minds since. But even if we don't return to Arcadia Bay for a second season, one thing's for sure. The bittersweet tale of Max and Chloe may have come to a close, but players will never forget what they taught us about loyalty, consequences, and the enduring power of friendship.
My powers might not last, Chloe.
That's okay. We will.
Metro Exodus leaves Moscow behind. The Metro series marches on with the upcoming Metro Exodus taking players outside Moscow and into the rest of the ravaged country. Call it a hunch, but we're guessing quality of life's pretty crappy out there too. Following 2013's Last Light, Exodus finds the game's hero desperate to find life outside his metro station. This will take him to various locales with regular temperature and weather changes, depending on where and when you visit. As for the plot, we don't currently know much more than monsters want to kill you again. But during an E3 2017 interview with GameSpot, producer John Block suggested that Exodus would blend the series' traditional linear environments with larger, non-linear areas. That way, you can tackle the game's main objectives however you want, or completely ignore them in favor of exploring the beautifully decimated Wasteland. The trailer simply says Exodus will be out in fall of 2018, just in time for the holidays. What better gift for Santa to leave under the tree for good little boys and girls than a violent tale of war, death, isolation, and a seemingly endless nuclear winter?
Merry Christmas.
Thanks for watching. Click the SVG icon to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Plus, check out all this cool stuff we know you'll love too.